Hey guys, it's your boy Skitty. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Today was a pretty dang good day today. Not gonna lie, I really enjoyed it. Had to wake up fairly early, had to go to work today, work through the program, and yeah, things went pretty smooth on the ride over. It was a pretty chill day in regards to the weather. Thank God for that. It's been super hot over the past few days, and having a chance to get yesterday and today some moisture, some rain. I love it when it rains. I really enjoy that. It's super comfortable for me when the weather isn't so dang boiling hot and muggy. But it felt really good. So on the way over to group, ended up kicking back, relaxing. I was kind of tired off the jump. I only got maybe I want to say the equivalent of 5-6 hours sleep. So the day, it was good, in the beginning, but, just kind of tired, having to wake up earlier than normal anyway. But yeah, I ended up making it to group, and we ended up going around the circle in our first meeting, and we read from the big book, and I was so tired off the jump that it was kind of hard to pay attention and really relate to the reading and everything like that. So I didn't really pick up too much on it, let alone share. But afterwards, we ended up going to a couple of the other sober living houses and ended up doing some landscaping. We ended up mowing a few of the lawns and picking up a lot of extra leaves, ended up raking, shoveling those and throwing them away, and basically just sprucing up some of the places. When we got back to the main treatment center, I kicked it for a little while, grabbed a snack, and ended up going to my case management. Case management went really smooth. My case manager, he is super chill. It was very nice, chopping it up with him, and I relate to him on a certain level, so it's really easy to, engage with him and actually have a good conversation on top of handling my case. A lot of it did revolve around me updating my resume on a couple of different websites and services that are available in the area. My main focus, though, is I am going to be looking for a job this weekend, and actually going to certain specific places to hand my application in person. Regardless of whether I have a resume or not, if they need one, I can dole one out to them one way or another. I have my resume finished on Indeed, but there's a couple of other places like getting it on my phone, getting it at Workforce Services and stuff like that, which will just be beneficial to have on hand in case it's necessary. But last time I went on Workforce Services, it was kind of a pain in the butt to handle that, and I had to start from scratch. And it seems like I might have to do that again. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. Currently working on that, and case management went well. I ended up talking with my recovery coach today. I had an appointment with him, and in regards to my step work, I'm currently on step 8, writing down the people. On my last video, I kind of addressed some feelings that I currently had in regards to that, and I was kind of torn, I guess you would say, because on one hand, there are people that I know that I hurt, people that I've let down in my addiction that truly deserve an apology from me, and then on the other hand, there's people that I may have hurt or harmed in my addiction, but I'm not gonna, you can't bullshit a bullshitter and have it be all one-sided. You know, normally if I distance, I'm a man of peace. Like, I'm ready, willing, and able to let bygones be bygones more oftentimes than not, regardless of whether it's my fault or their fault. But there are some individuals that I have ran into in my life that I no longer want in my life anymore. I would rather distance myself from them, not because they're bad people, you know, I'm sure they're good, and they have their own, you know, silver lining, I guess you would say. But being around these certain individuals in my life, I would rather keep them at arm's length. You know, it's like, do I wish you well? Do I, you know, wish many blessings on you in your life? Of course I do. But in regards to us having any kind of a relationship, no, thank you. You know, like, do I want to see you eat? Of course, just not at my table. You know, some of the wool that some people try and pull over my eyes and think that I'm fucking stupid, or having me apologize for them being an asshole, is just going to validate their bullshit, and I'm gonna let my walls down again, and they're just gonna do the same shit over and over and over again because they know that they can get away with it and walk all over me and paint this picture that I'm the bad guy, when in all actuality they're the ones that are stirring the pot. Because honestly, with me, I could care less. You know, as I already mentioned, you know, I like to try and keep the peace. I'm a pretty straightforward guy when it comes to situations like that. But when it's happening recurringly, or if I just get a weird inkling or a bad vibe, I have a tendency to pull myself away out of that situation, as opposed to trying to address it to continue on the relationship being the way that it's currently being. You know, I've ran into a lot of energy vampires. I've ran into a lot of people who fake the funk and play victim, when in all actuality they should be apologizing to me, but they're not going to do it. They're just going to fabricate the situation to put the ball in my court and make it seem like I'm the one that's letting them go for whatever reason. Like, oh, he's such an asshole, or oh, da 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 da, you know. And in my addictions, I get even more truthful without a filter. You know, I'm pretty truthful for the most part without a filter, but it puts some alcohol in me and it's like truth serum. You know, I will say some off the wall, out of character, dumb shit that 90% of the times it's true, and 10% of the times I am fucking white girl wasted, blacked out, and say some like shit that I wouldn't even normally say. You know, like, where the hell did that come from, you know? And I've ran into situations like that where I'll look at my phone and it's like, I don't even want to look at it because I don't know that person. You know, that's definitely not my character or the way that I act on the regular, you know. But, you know, like they say, drunk thoughts are sober feeling or sober truths, and that has a tendency to be with me, you know, when I, you know, hit the bottle, sort of say, you know. But yeah, I ended up talking with my recovery coach about that, and he gave me a lot of clarity and a lot of positive advice. Shout out to you, dude. I appreciate you. He ended up explaining to me that with the step 8 and step 9, this is my, you know, recovery portion of apologizing to the people that I do want to keep in my life, that I do want to build a better relationship with, that I know that I've hurt and I've harmed and I've let down, that I know that I was in the wrong and I want to make my amends. Now, regardless of whether that's going to hit or not, that's going to be 50-50. You know, I'm sure there's going to be individuals who are going to be like, hey, you know, let's work this out, let bygones be bygones, beef squashed. And there's going to be other people who are going to be like, hey, fuck you, man, you know, you fucked up and you have to be held accountable for that, and I don't want nothing to do with you, but at least I'm able to get my portion off my chest and move along accordingly, you know, in regards to that person's feelings, you know, and I can respect that. But he also brought in we got talking about places that I've currently worked at, or places that I have done wrong in my addiction. And it's one of those things where, is it going to cause more harm than good? Is it necessarily worth it to me? And there are a few places that I actually went back to and apologized to them due to my character while being under the influence of drugs and alcohol. There's a couple of other ones out there that I would like to make amends to, but there are a couple where I'm kind of like, you read the outside of the book and judged me and threw me under the bus and got rid of me, so I'm not going to give you any kind of an apology regardless of whether I was in my addiction or not. So it is what it is. We just can part ways as friends, and I wish you well in your employment journey. I hope you find a great employee, that can replace me in any aspect. Not saying that I was a perfect employee or anything like that, but I wish you well. And then he also brought into the equation something that I didn't even think about, and that was making my amends for places that I've been and going there sober. Some of the places that came to mind were northern Utah, where I was born and raised. I used to be quite the hellion when I lived up north, and those were my stomping grounds for a good while. Like, I've done a lot of drugs, alcohol, partying, you name it. And I think I might be taking a future trip up there, mainly for the simple fact to do that, make amends, maybe chop it up with a couple of the homies that I used to kick it with and break bread with them, and say hi to some familiar faces that are available in my life, and make amends to the ones that I haven't ran into in a good while, and say my piece, and hopefully leave on a good note, and bring happiness to others, because that's my MO. I love making people happy. I've always been quite a people pleaser, even when it does have a tendency to blow up in my face. But there was a couple of other places I've thought about, like going to Mesquite, Nevada, and Las Vegas, Nevada, places where I went pretty heavy at in regards to like smoking, drinking, partying, because weed's legal in Nevada, and some of the casinos out there, of course, you have alcohol involved, gambling involved, things of that nature. But maybe when I'm a little bit stronger in my recovery, I can go out there with a couple of my close friends that I know that aren't into the party vibe or party scene, and chop it up and have a good time, doing things sober and living a happier lifestyle, and actually being able to party and have fun and remember the night and not wake up with a hangover the next day. Sober fun. I kind of missed that. But that kind of brought a lot of clarity to me, and kind of was like, yeah. But we did end up talking about having character, and being able to choose sobriety instead of falling back into addiction, because when I got out of residential, I didn't really think too much about drugs and alcohol. I was like, fuck drugs and alcohol, like that shit almost killed me. I fucking probably almost had a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. And when I got out of residential, it was like my freedom started to come back, and I made a couple of videos kind of addressing that, where I was able to buy drinks on my own again. I was able to have my phone and my technology, and there was nothing really stopping me from going to the liquor store, going to a gas station, or buying a beer, or smoking. Like a lot of I've never really been too big into cigarettes. I was when I was younger, but I don't even smoke cigarettes or vape anymore, or let alone like take the Zins and all that stuff like that. But just having that availability to me when I got out, and seeing and being around certain places where I used to smoke and drink, I started to ruminate a little bit. I started to have some of those thoughts cross my mind. But what I've learned in my recovery are thoughts are just thoughts. I don't have to act on them. And I caught myself, you know. It was one of those things where it was like, I did not just spend 60 days in residential to go out, you know, like it fucking pissed me off. It made me mad that I was having these thoughts going through my mind. It was like, nah, fuck all that. Like, I want no part of that anymore. That's the old me, you know, and I'm fucking keeping it that way. I don't want no part of drugs and alcohol in my life ever again because I know what it does to me and I know what it has done to me. So, yeah, that was definitely a good session that I had with him. Also, through our program, we have our own swag store, you know, and which is really cool. It gives some of the guys the opportunity when we do like daily check-ins and surveys and things like that, and we get points that we accumulate to where we can actually get, you know, gear from the treatment center. And the last time I was in, on my record before I went out, I ended up having, I want to say, like 450 to 490 points left over from before. Now, that wasn't enough points for what I was gunning for, but through the surveys that I've currently done since getting out of residential up until now, they've accumulated to where I actually got this hoodie here. It's pretty nice, it's very comfortable, and definitely came in handy because it got cold as hell earlier and it was raining like crazy. So it definitely helped me stay warm through the rest of the day. Anyway, we ended up having our night group. Well, actually, our day group was really fucking cool too because we had our breathwork meeting, which was nice, but the icing on the cake was I ended up running into my ex's son. I kind of made a video beforehand kind of talking about that and, you know, kind of I don't want to say awkward vibes, but it was just kind of crazy, like weird, like full circle moment, you know, and it was, you know, I've kind of followed up with the kid from the outside looking in, you know, like I knew him when he was young, like a little kid. Me and his mom used to date, and like I never really understood how much it may have hurt his feelings at that point in time, and that hurt my heart, you know, because I had a heart for her children, you know, like they're not the ones who did me dirty or made me feel some type of way, you know. Granted, me and his mother, you know, we parted ways, but it was one of those things where he was young, so he, you know, definitely has his own set of feelings, and I don't want to step on his toes or make him feel any worse bringing that type of a subject up. But he ended up sitting next to me, and he brought it up. He's all like, you kind of remind me of this guy that my mom used to date. And I'm like, bro, I'm him, you know. And it kind of blew his mind a little bit. He was like, damn. He's like, I remember you. And I was like, I remember you, you know. And I've seen him a couple of times when I was previously in recovery at AA meetings and NA meetings and stuff like that. So I know that he is on him and his family are on their own recovery journey, you know. But just hearing his name and seeing that he's like, I want to say pretty close to 20 years older now, so he's grown up a lot, you know. And like I said, seeing him on one hand going through the struggles that I've been through, it breaks my fucking heart, you know. I definitely wish his sobriety for him and the best for him, but actually seeing him focusing on sobriety and actually doing the damn thing and, you know, putting his best foot forward, that I can't wish for nothing better, regardless of whether he likes me or not. You know, that's cool shit to me. I love to see it. Anyway, we ended up in breathwork chopping it up, catching up on old times, and you know, it was a very comfortable situation, and I told him that I was proud of him because I truly am, you know, because I remember when he was a little kid and he's going through the struggles of life that a lot of us do, you know, as addicts and things of that nature, you know. Like if he's currently, you know, seeking help and, you know, looking for a good straight path in his recovery, I got nothing but, you know, mad blessings and kudos for the kid, you know, like I love to see it. So that was very heartwarming, you know, to say the least. And yeah, it was nice catching up with him. I, you know, see good things coming from him, you know, so definitely wishing him and his family the best. But yeah, after we ended up having our breathwork session, um, we ended up having a couple of guys graduating from the program, which was really awesome. Congratulations to the guys who graduated. You know, salute to you fellas. And, you know, that was definitely good seeing them and their families showing up and showing out. We ended up having a graduation party for them, and they ended up doing it pretty big. You know, we ended up going to a certain center, and we ended up having a nice, it was a very fancy dinner. You know, they ended up catering to us, and you know, everything was decked out, round tables, fine dining cutlery. It was very classy, to say the least. So that felt good. That was really nice, and that was definitely like peak, you know, peak performance for the night. After that, we ended up saying our goodbyes and ended up making my way home. Got a ride from one of the brothers. Thank you again, dude. Super cool of you. And yeah, on that note, it's been a very great day. I love you guys. Thank you for stopping by, and stay blessed.